Michael Gassert was born in 1956 in Myerstown, Pennsylvania. He grew up with his mother, who was a housewife, and his father, who worked at a chemical plant in town. Gassert had four siblings: an older sister named Sharon, two brothers named George and Steve, a younger sister named Lori. When he was just 8 years old, his father passed away. Not only he had to grow up without him, but he also had to help his family whenever they needed him. Gassert went to Elko High School and grew up in Myerstown. When he was a teenager, he started working right away. At 14 years old, he got his first job at a bicycle shop. Later, he attended Votech in Lebanon, where he studied automotive mechanics. After learning mechanical skills, he worked at a gas station as a mechanic. He also worked for Ford dealership. These early jobs helped him develop good work habits, which prepared him for the Army. In 1974, Gassert decided to join the military. At the time, there was no draft, so he volunteered to serve. One of the people he worked with at the gas station was a recruiter for the Army Reserve Armored Division located at Fort Indiantown Gap. The recruiter often showed Gassert the tanks and military vehicles at the base. Seeing the tanks and learning about armored units made the military seem exciting to him. Because of his experience, Gassert decided to join the Armored Reserve. Gassert's decision to join the military came during an important moment of his life. On February 1st, 1975, he got married. Just 3 days later, on February 4th. He left for the military training. Leaving his new wife was one of the hardest parts of joining the service.
Well, I left my wife of 3 days, and of course my siblings and my mother and whatever.
He said. He traveled from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to Fort Knox, Kentucky, where he began basic training. Basic training taught soldiers many important skills, including physical fitness, discipline, and how to use weapons. Gassert had to learn how to shoot a rifle and a .45 pistol. At first, this was new to him because he had never used those weapons before. However, he practiced and hard improved. Eventually, he learned the rank of a sharpshooter with the rifle and expert with the pistol. Basic training was not so easy. Soldiers had to wake up early, sometimes at 4 or 5 in the morning. They trained all day and sometimes late into the night. They also had to march long distances while carrying heavy gear. Gassert remembered the hills at Fort Knox, which seemed to go on forever. One of the most difficult parts of training was going through the gas chamber and completing long hikes with full equipment. The weather was also challenging. During the winter, Gassert and other soldiers sometimes slept in tents while snow covered the ground.
Fort Knox, when I went in February, was very cold. We'd sleep in tents and wake up in the morning with 2 or 3 inches of snow.
He said. After completing basic training, Gassert continued with advanced training in the Armor School at Fort Knox. There, he learned how to operate and work inside military tanks. Over time, soldiers and tank units learned different positions. Everyone started as a driver, then could move up to a loader, then gunner, and eventually tank commander. Each position required new skills and responsibilities. Gassert served in the Armored Reserve for 9 years. When he did, he kept getting promoted through the ranks until he got promoted to an E6 staff sergeant. He also attended non-commissioned officer training, which prepared him for leadership responsibilities. As a tank commander, Gassert had to make sure his crew worked together safely and efficiently. Tanks are small and they do not have a lot of space to move around, so it is important to be safe. One of Gassert's biggest responsibilities as a tank commander was leading his crew during training exercises. He had to tell the driver where to move, instruct the gunner which targets to shoot, and direct the loader on what type of ammunition to load. Good communication was also needed because if the communication was not good, the crew could not do their job. Gassert expressed how being a tank commander is.
So it's all based on communicating before, during, and after.
Gassert went to several different places to train, which included Fort Indiantown Gap, Fort Pickett in Virginia, Fort Drum in New York, and even Germany. When he was training, the men worked on the responsibilities needed during combat. Most of the time, they were in tanks to make it realistic, so they prepared at any time.
One of Gassert's proudest moments happened during a tank training exercise at Fort Pickett. During the exercise, his gunner suddenly became sick and could not do anything to help the crew. Gassert had to take over his position while still commanding the tank. He still successfully completed the mission without his gunner.
And my gunner became ill with a stomach bug. So he ran into the woods, and I said, "No, we got to go. We got to go." And he said he can't. So I made the decision to run without him.
That same year, he was awarded Tank Commander of the Year. He also hit the most targets in the best time. After 9 years of service, Gassert earned an honorable discharge in 1984. Since he served in the Armored Reserve, he could stay close to home most of the time. He now has 4 children, Jess, Josh, Eli, and Cameron, from oldest to youngest, and now has 11 grandchildren, Sophie, Michael, Christian, Deacon, Easton, Gavin, Jet, Maverick, Soren, Sailor, and Ove. After leaving the service, he wanted to spend more time with his family, and being home allowed him to raise his children and enjoy time with them. After leaving the military, he started his own business, GMI Installation. He has now been running that business for over 40 years. Gassert knows that his military experience helped him become a better person. The Army taught him responsibility, leadership, and how to work with many different types of people.
I mean, that you have to adapt because no two people have the same personality. You have to be aware that not everybody's like you.
He said. He learned to stay calm during difficult situations and to keep moving forward when plans do not go right or they change. These lessons helped him both in his career and in life. Looking back at his experiences, Gassert says he would do it all over again. His time in the military gave him fun experiences and scary situations. He also made a lot of friends. Overall, he says that the military made him become a better person. We would like to thank Gassert for his service and for sharing his experiences with us.